Well, good morning and welcome back to Accra for the final instalment of this series of lockdown cooking challenge. And today we're finishing with a challenge from Emma in Skopje. And Emma has given us pasta, fish, spinach, tomatoes, mushrooms and honey. Very interesting selection, and I had to think long and hard about what to do with this. A lot depended on what sort of fish I was able to get hold of. If we'd been on the Adriatic coast, I'd have probably plumped for shellfish and made some kind of seafood pasta dish as the main, and then worked the other ingredients around that. But we're not so fortunate to be able to have good shellfish here reliably in Accra. But what I did find was a very nice piece of grouper, which is the same species and quite possibly the same fish as a sea bass. Certainly tastes very similar to sea bass when it's cooked. And then I was still trying to work out exactly what to do. Shall I make the fish the centerpiece and work other things around it, or shall I do something a bit different? And what I decided was to do something a little different. So rather than the main course, the fish is going to be the starter. And what we're basically going to do is a Sicilian style fish soup with the fish. Then for the main course, we're going to combine our tomatoes, mushrooms, spinach and pasta, not this exact pasta, but one similar to this, and make a vegetable lasagna, basically. And then this pasta will actually go with the honey for a Sicilian sweet pasta dessert. So everything from Italy, two from Sicily, lasagna probably closer to Napoli, but in any event all Italian. So let's give it a go. Okay, so let's start with the fish soup. So the first problem I had is that to make any good fish soup you need fish stock, and I have no fish stock, and you can't buy fish stock cubes here. So I'm having to improvise that. It's not in the recipe in detail, but essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some vegetable stock with a vegetable stock cube, pint and a half or something like that. Then I'm going to add a tin of mackerel in tomato sauce and a dash of nampla, Thai fish sauce. Put that all in a pan and let it simmer away for about 30 minutes until the mackerel flavour has emanated out into the vegetable stock. And then once I've done that, then I'll just strain that through a sieve and put that to one side to cool down for later on. So that'll be our improvised fish stock. We'll see how that goes. Now to the soup itself. You'll never guess. Onion, this time I'm going to use red onion just for a change, and celery chopped up very small. No carrot this time, but what I am going to do is use up some of the fennel fronds which I still have available from earlier in the week, again chopped up. Fry those three in oil for about 15 minutes in some olive oil, and then add some crushed garlic, a clove of crushed garlic and a finely chopped chili pepper. Add them to the oil mix, keep stirring for another 5 minutes or so till that's done. Then I'm going to chop my tomatoes and add them and fry for a couple of minutes more. Then a squirt of tomato puree, a glass of white wine if there's any left by then, and my vegetable stock plus salt and pepper. And essentially that's it until we come to adding the fish at the end. But simmer that for about half an hour, I would say. And you might notice there's no strong herbs or spices in this dish. That's really because I don't want to mask too much the taste of the fish. It's the fish which is supposed to be the dominant smell and flavour of this dish. So cook that mixture for about 30 minutes till all the flavours are nicely mingled. And then just 10 minutes before you're ready to serve, add your fish cut up into bite-sized pieces. Add that to your soup mix, a squirt of lemon, and then cook that for probably about another 10 minutes until the fish is cooked through. 10 minutes, as long as they're small enough pieces, should be plenty. And what you don't want to do is overdo it, because eventually the fish will just fall apart in the soup, and you actually want to have bite-sized pieces of fish in there. And then when I was trolling the food cupboard for the mackerel or whatever I could find to do the fish stock, I came across a tin of smoked mussels. Now this definitely is a cheat because it's a special ingredient that I hadn't planned on, but what I'm going to do just before the end is put these into the mixture as well, just for the last 2 or 3 minutes to warm them through, and then serve just with a sprinkling of parsley on top and some nice fresh white bread. Okay, so now for our vegetable lasagna, and the first part of the dish we're going to do is the vegetable part. So Emma gave us mushrooms, spinach and tomatoes, all excellent ingredients for a vegetable lasagna. I've brought my trusty onion, celery, carrot and garlic. So we start off as always with the chopped onion, chopped celery and chopped carrot. Fry that off in olive oil for 10 minutes or so. Then add our chopped garlic and fry it for 5 minutes or so more. Keep stirring. Now at this point, if we had any other ingredients, any other vegetable ingredients, we could add them. If you had any peppers, they would go very well. If you have any aubergine or courgette, almost any vegetable which will chop up and go in at this point is good to add, except possibly potato. But cook them off and then add the mushrooms. Everything else is chopped very small, but the mushrooms differently. Mushrooms are just going to slice very thinly, because in the end they'll be going into layers, so that'll be fine. And the spinach, again, chop very small, just blanch it off in some hot water, and then add that to the mix together with our chopped up tomatoes. So we'll have loads of tiny pieces of vegetable in a tomatoey sauce with some spinach in there as well. Then we're going to add some vegetable stock made with a vegetable stock cube and a glass of red wine for this dish rather than white wine. You can use white, but red's better. Glass of that with the stock, a squirt of tomato puree, spoonful of mixed herbs, dash of Worcester sauce and salt and pepper, and then we cook that off probably for about 40 minutes, because we really want everything to go soft, particularly the carrot, which takes longer to cook than most things. So just cook that ideally in your saute pan if you've got one by now. Stir that around a little bit, don't need to stir it all the time, but cook that down for about 40 minutes, and then you leave that aside to cool down while we move on to the next stage of our lasagna. Okay, so now to make our bechamel sauce for our lasagna and put the whole thing together. So bechamel sauce, I've shown you before very briefly, equal quantities of butter and flour. Put the butter into a pan, melt the butter down, then add the flour, stir the two together until you come up with a thick paste, and then you start slowly adding the milk and stirring. At the beginning, spoon by spoon, stir, spoonful, stir. As you get more in, you can put more in and just keep stirring. And then once all the milk's in, keep the heat on and keep stirring for about 5 minutes. And then magically, because of the flour, the sauce will thicken up. And there basically you have your bechamel. The only thing I'm going to add is a little bit of cinnamon, just to give it an extra flavour, and some salt and pepper. The argument then is about cheese. Do you put cheese into your bechamel sauce or not? A purist would say absolutely not. There's no cheese in a bechamel sauce. So we'll go the traditional method for now. So that will be our prepared bechamel. That's done. So what we do to prepare the full dish is we take a spoon or two of our bechamel, put it on the bottom of the baking dish in which you're going to make your lasagna. Then you put a layer, one sheet along of lasagna pieces, then a couple more spoonfuls of bechamel, then half of your vegetable mix, then another layer of lasagna sheets, a couple more spoonfuls of bechamel, the other half of your vegetable mix, another layer of lasagna, and the rest of your bechamel. So there should be a good layer of bechamel at the top to flatten it down. And that's where we'll deviate slightly from the Italian classic dish, is we've managed to get some seriously strong extra mature cheddar. So we're going to grate some of that and sprinkle it over the top of the bechamel at the top of the dish. Once you've done all of that, cover it with aluminium foil and pop it in the oven for 30 to 40 minutes to cook. And then after about 30-40 minutes, take off the foil cover, leave it in the oven for about another 30 minutes or so. Depends until basically the cheese is melted on top and it's starting to go nice and brown and beautiful. And that's basically it. That's our vegetable lasagna. Okay, so now finally we come to our sweet Sicilian fried pasta. And for that we need capelli d'angelo, these very, very fine spaghetti noodles that you can buy. You could probably do it with spaghetti, but I don't think it will be as good because you want it to be crispy on the outside but soft on the inside, and I think big spaghetti would be too thick for that, but you could try it. So capelli d'angelo, we just cook that in water as normal for about 5 or 6 minutes, then drain that off, rinse it under cold water and set that aside for the moment. Then in a pan we add our honey plus a little bit of water, probably about half the amount of water to honey. You could add lemon zest and orange zest, but as I've actually got in the cupboard some candied mixed peel, I'm going to use that instead. It's even better if you have got it. Add that to your honey and water, together with a little bit of cinnamon, some chopped walnuts, and a shot of brandy. You could use rum, you could use almost any spirit, but I think brandy and rum are the two best, but brandy is our favourite for today. So cook that all in a pan for about 20 minutes, reduces a little bit, and what you've got is a thick sauce. Okay, put that to one side. Return to our pasta, which is now drained, cooled down, and what you do is you get a little swirl of pasta and you pop it into a frying pan with about a centimetre of oil in it. Doesn't need to be more than that, but more than just a dash. So vegetable oil, corn oil. Make sure the oil is very hot as well before you put the pasta in. So you get your little swirl of pasta, plonk it into the pan. It'll start making lots of noise and cooking very quickly. Add however many you're going to put into the pan, 3 or 4, 5, and leave them there for about 2 minutes. They'll be cooking very fast and they'll be going brown. That's okay. But after about 2 minutes, flip them over so that the other side gets brown. Cook it for about another minute, not more. Then take them out of the pan, drain them so that there's not too much fat on them. Drain them and then pour over your honey and walnut and cinnamon sauce. And that's it. Sweet Sicilian fried pasta. What could be easier? Okay, so that's the end of our final and 7th challenge for this week. Thank you very much for everybody who's taken part. I'll probably post another video in a day or two with thoughts and lessons learnt. But for now, thank you and arrivederci.